Well, hello and welcome to episode 8 of Emotional Support Penguins podcast.
We're getting so close to double digits.
We're getting so close to double digits. If you might notice, I have a little bit of gravelly in my voice still.
Yeah, we apologize about last week. He had no voice.
No voice.
None.
I was literally talking like this.
Yeah.
Because we could have done an ASMR episode. Hello and welcome to the Emotional Support Penguins podcast with your hosts, Joel and
Do I whisper too?
I think so. Well, we got a special episode today because what's the day?
Oh, it's our 8th episode on the 8th.
Yes.
Which happens to be our wedding anniversary.
Our wedding anniversary.
Today.
I love it. And so it's our wedding anniversary. So we thought, we'll do a special love languages episode. So welcome to the Emotional Support Penguins podcast, because sometimes throughout your week, you need a little reset. You need to stop, drop, and waddle. You're on your way on out. So we're giving you a little encouragement this week. And we thought, hey, let's look at the 5 love languages.
Which is something we've touched on before.
Yeah, we've mentioned it.
And we've had others ask us about it.
Yes.
So it was one of the reasons it was on our list.
Yeah. And so this is a book originally over 30 years ago.
Over 30 years.
By Gary Chapman. And people wonder, how does this stand the test of time? Mm-hmm. And one thing I will point out about this, and this has been tested and reviewed psychologically, and they've done so many things over the years. What I would say that it's not a perfect science, and it's not something to completely base your relationships and your life around, but an indicator of things on how you look at yourself and how you look at people around you.
It's a great tool to use to feel more informed when you don't know how to. And there's even a quiz online. You can take the quiz and it'll tell you what your love language is. Yeah.
So so if someone says the 5 love language, what is it as an indicator overall?
It is just how you personally give and receive love, basically. That's what it boils down to. It's what gives you that good feeling on how you love others and how being loved by others.
Yeah, how you find fulfillment in love.
Yeah.
And these are just 5 categories, and some people find subcategories and other things, but these are kind of a generalization. And sometimes it kind of depends on the person. One thing I will note is that it talked about that traumatic events, change in relationships, loss, life change, you can change your love language.
Absolutely.
And I noticed as I get older, I had a particular love language that was very strong. And then the older I get, it's a little less.
I was thinking that doing a little bit of the research for this.
Yeah.
I have one that I've known forever, but then I'm kind of, as I've gotten older, I think really after having a baby is probably it. You start to kind of reevaluate and you shift a little bit.
Yeah, and so that's a great thing. And I think the biggest thing with love languages is communication. And so this doesn't have to do just in romantic relationships. This is your life in general. But we want to quickly list the 5 and then we'll go through what they are and how they might interact.
Yeah, and then for all 5 of them, what we did a how to communicate it, what you do, and then we gave a couple action things this is something physically that you can do to do that.
Yeah. So the first one is gift giving. The second one, we're just going to go
throw them all.
Just go.
Words of affirmation.
Yep. And then physical touch.
Acts of service.
Quality time.
And that's all of them.
That's
right?
all of them. That's all 5.
Yeah.
It felt like we needed another back and forth there.
It did feel like.
So gift giving, what does that look like?
So to communicate that one, really all you're doing, it's a pretty easy self-explanatory one, is express through presents. So you're giving gifts, whether it's, the big thing about how these are, it's the thought behind them. So thoughtful gifts is really important. It doesn't mean it has to be this huge expensive thing.
Need to be a car.
So so it can be small or big. And one of the big things for it as well is if somebody else's love language is gift giving, you can express gratitude when receiving that gift. So you don't always have to, give a gift back. It's just showing that gratitude and appreciation
Yeah.
for them thinking of you and giving.
And
that
sometimes your love language giving is different than your love language receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be gift giving is your love language, and the way that you receive love is how people have gratitude for those gifts, but you could care less if someone gives you a gift.
Absolutely.
Like you're like, oh, thank you, that's great, and you appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
and you probably understand it than most more because of the way that you enjoy giving gifts. But that's not how you receive love is receiving gifts. It's how you can give gifts, how they react to you giving gifts, etc.
Absolutely.
I will use an example. So hi mom, because my mom I think is such a great example of
She is.
showing love and gift giving.
gift giving.
Because she like has this brain for it that if you mention something once, then she remembers that, and so she'll get like Ronan's favorite food
Yep.
and like just different little things that she's so great at giving gifts as a part of her love language. So she'll just out of the blue have things that she's like, I thought of you guys. I remember you had said you were looking for something for this for your house.
Right. Yeah.
And she sees something on sale or somewhere and picks it up.
Yeah.
And those types of things, that's how gift giving is so well you can express that love through there. So if you are receiving those things from someone that their love language is gift giving, just like express gratitude. You can send like a thank you note. Just show that it really means something. Use the gift.
Absolutely.
You know, if that's something. Small tokens like those go a long way.
Yeah.
Like maybe a picture of like, oh, we just used this today. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Which we should probably get a little better at, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thing for gift giving?
No, I think we're good to go on to words of affirmation.
So if your partner or somebody you know is a gift giving love language, like receive those gifts well, thank them, think of them through that. And maybe reciprocate some of those gifts sometimes, and think through what that is, and not just be like, oh yeah, I got you some socks because you might like socks.
Yeah.
Give some thought through this. So the second one is words of affirmation, and you don't know anybody about that.
I don't know anything about that one. That
So
one's my favorite.
you would say that's your top,
I would say that's my top one.
top
yeah.
words of affirmation.
Yeah.
So, and the thing about words of affirmation, and it's not just like when you do a great thing, I'll say, good job, Amanda,
Right.
you did good.
It's not the pat on the head. I mean, that's great. That is absolutely a part of it, but it's not a like constant, like I need that pat on the head to feel like I'm doing well.
Yeah. It's more of like the unprompted encouragement, compliments, like, wow, I noticed that you did your makeup different today. Like
Right.
that looks really great. Or like just little things in appreciation and noticing that will be pushing along. Or just like, if I'm like at work and not here, just thinking of you.
One of the things that he did really well, right when Ro was born, he would slide, like, even if it was on the back of like an envelope from the mail, he would slide it under the bathroom door when I was in there, and it would just say like, you look great, you're doing so well, you're such a good mama, I'm proud of you. And it was like for nothing. I was literally taking a shower, but he would take the time because he knew that I was like by myself and having, a moment to make sure that he kind of gave me that throughout, and I love it. It's like my favorite.
Yeah.
I save them all whenever I find them.
Well, it's just it's those things where ways that you can build them up, encourage them, strengthen them, and not in like a gaudy way, but like that you're genuinely thinking about the person and encouraging them, and help them be more introspective, to think about things. And sometimes words of affirmation, people, like you said, it's not because they need it, but that's super helpful, for who they are as a person. And so like just being able to encourage someone, if you know their words of affirmation, maybe set a reminder on your phone, like, certain days of the week or whatever to check in. And one of the things that I have been learning to do better is like, instead of waiting to do it, like if I think about it, do it right then. Like if I have a friend, I'll just, I'm thinking of so-and-so. Let me just send a text message. Hey, I was thinking of you, like, anyway, want to chat sometime this week. Just doing it then, it doesn't cost you anything to send that text. Hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, I love you. Or, like, you really mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like those things don't cost you anything, but they can make a huge impact on someone's day and their week. So super impactful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And physical touch.
Anybody?
I don't know.
Brody.
It's definitely Brody's.
His physical touch. As he's like, what? Oh,
He's like sleeping behind my
his
pillow.
tongue stuck. So physical touch, yeah.
That you would say was yours, right?
Yeah, I retook the test again right before this.
Oh, I should have done that.
Yeah,
I did not.
and it said it was a 37% physical touch, which was lower than I would have said in the past, but it's still the highest of the 5. That's still a big chunk, you know, that's over, 33%, then
Maybe because I'm constantly like all the time, you're like feeling fulfilled in that.
Yeah,
You're like,
I'm
okay, I
used to
can
that.
move on to other things now.
So that's like a nonverbal touch. And the thing that I want to point out that this is, I constantly am just a tapper, is that it's not always an intimate or a sexual touch. This is just like encouragement. So like just a tap on the knee or like a pound on the back. You're doing a good job.
A hug.
Yeah. And like I have to ask people if they're huggers because that's I'll just naturally like pull someone in for a hug. Doesn't matter who you are. I might have only met you like once or twice. But I'm like, you seem like you need a hug. Or just like a simple like a touch on the shoulder, like it's okay, like you're doing great. And I think that's something that can be definitely encouraged. I don't want to generalize, but for men. Sometimes they only focus on the physical touch, like the sexual touch, when it be between men, like just friendships and things like that. Like just
that
a
good,
high five,
sturdy, like you know when you guys do those arm claps when you're a hand on the back, like
like a encouragement, and that's something that's really, I think, so beneficial in the long run. So physical touch, if you are someone in a relationship for that. Maybe just a pat on the arm, or like grabbing their hand when you're going on a walk together.
He really resonates with back scratches.
Yeah.
It's a really simple one.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh, scratches.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably his favorite.
Yeah. And like ones for her, like scratching her hair or like rubbing her neck, like little things like that that are just so simple. Our son, it might just be in the stage right now, but he's huge. Like he just wants to be near you and like having his hand on you. And
he holds my chin in the evenings when he's drinking his milk. He literally just reaches up and cups my chin.
It's like, thank you. I just needed you to be here, here with me. So those like little things that can be helpful. And one thing that I would talk about that I wanted to mention with the love languages is that like don't get baited into doing someone else's type of a love language and thinking that's the only way that you can be loved or how you can show love. Like, because these can be generalizations, but I've seen relationships where someone, a spouse, will only show love or feel like they're loved through physical touch, and the other spouse is like, but that's not how I feel love. And then they aren't getting the words of affirmation, or they're not getting the acts of service, and they feel like they're kind of drowning, like they don't feel like they're fulfilled in their love language. And so that's a big communication. And if like your partner isn't willing to do that, the love language that you have, like you got to wonder, like, are they actually showing you love, or are they just selfishly wanting you to love them the way that they love? Which is a hard pill to swallow, but like I think that we have a good balance with that, where we both go out of our way to think of like, how does the other person want to be loved, and how can we best serve them in that, and in turn then we'll want to more love each other the other way too.
One of the things I was proud of with us is that before we even had the like, what's your love language conversation, I could have told you what his was. And I think he probably could have at least guessed the same for me, because we did, communicate, wants and needs. And I think that's so, so important. And using the love language is just like that extra little bit of know-how, a little bit of, I know a lot of times it's hard to find ways to show love, and you're like, what do I do of all of these things? Knowing that this person has this one way that gives them that little extra bit of happy. You can just Google like things I can do for someone with a physical touch love language, and it gives you actual concrete things that can be helpful. So those are they're helpful tools.
Yeah. The next one is acts of service. So thoughtful gestures, action phrases like "I'll help do this today," and actually doing it, going through with those things. So if you see your partner stressed out, if they're working on a work project, or maybe they're just crazy with family stuff, going out of your way to like, hey, I'm just gonna come over and vacuum and do the dishes. We talked about that with the postpartum thing, where family members came over, just did dishes, just swept the house, fed us, things like that. But where, like doing little extra things like loading the dishwasher or doing the laundry, vacuuming, and not feeling like you have to nag each other to do it, just stepping up and doing things.
This is the one that I feel like is like inching up on me. And I don't know if it's because with motherhood comes a lot more responsibility. And so that's the one that I think like has started to kind of come up and be a little higher priority on mine as well.
And I think having our son has elevated that for me and helped me see that better, because especially like the first 6 weeks when you had a C-section, it was pretty much me doing all of the things. And so and then I just tried to, as much as I can, carry those things on to do dishes or laundry or whatever, and help with those things, and just trying to be more aware with it. Since I am so ADHD, like I have to actively like stop what I'm doing during a day and say like, oh, there are dishes, or oh, there are these things. And so I basically just every morning do a check, every afternoon do a check, and every evening do a check. Okay, what are the things that I can do? There's a meme video of Miss Rachel. And so Miss Rachel is a YouTube channel for like toddlers and stuff like that. And she does silly songs.
Well, for backstory on this, a lot of the time, a very common complaint of women is a man, they'll be cleaning and they'll say, okay, what needs cleaned? And like the women are looking around like at mountains of everything that needs cleaned. Like there's not one thing. And so that's kind of what this goes
and the video is like, where are your eyes?
Where could they be? Where are your eyes?
Look with them and see. And so I feel like I do a pretty good job of doing it. But I have done that before. Like, hey, what do you want me to do? And it's not because I don't know things to doing. My thing is, if you're already doing something, let me work on something else.
Right.
And so that's just a lack of communication sometimes when you're like, just do something. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do what you're doing and get in your way. Like, I don't want to do. And so those are the things. So active service, cooking a meal, cleaning, filling up the car with gas. Like if you see it's close to, if you use the car and see it's low.
Basically anything that can help alleviate somebody else's stress of a daily workload. Yeah. Like something that that they do pretty consistently, if you can take that away from them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. So then finally,
quality time.
What does that look like?
We love that one.
Yeah.
It's just spending meaningful moments together. So it's not a hard one. It really isn't. But in our day and age, this technology will get us where you'll be together, but you're both sitting looking at your phone.
Yeah.
And so it's important that you're focusing on one another, where you're taking like it's quality time together. Right. You're actually with each other and not focused elsewhere.
Yeah, so sharing meals, doing a staycation,
even taking a walk.
A new skill together. We love taking walks. Like that's something, now that Ronan loves being outside so much, just getting a walk together, it's something to do, help our mental health, but then also spend time together. Like we took him to go out to eat together last night and then just walk around in town, and it was just nice outside. And he was just running around.
We did a toddler-led walk, which is a lot of...
And normally when we're in town, we push him around, but we, probably did a mile or more of walking, and it was like picking him up and moving. Like, no, don't jump over that. Okay, don't fall down those stairs.
Don't dive into the creek.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, wah! And just checking stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with somebody that has the love language of quality time, it's just like pressing out that time to be present. you know, being present, turning your phone on, do not disturb, putting it to the side, like, all right, you know, what are some things we can do together?
And making it obvious that you're there because you want to experience life with them, not just because you're there to be there, you know, not because you're just going through daily existence.
Yeah. And it's just like, just being more present and being more open and aware to that, to what's happening.
Yeah.
So, all of these things are transferable to non-romantic relationships, people you work with, family members, just being more open and paying attention for what they care about. And some of them are just so common sense. It's like, oh, of course, you know, they love gift giving. Like they've been giving me awesome gifts ever since I was 12 years old.
Right.
And I've not really appreciated that. Like, how can I appreciate that more? Maybe give them a call and say like, wow, I'm literally looking at a gift that you gave and I was for my 16th birthday and I still have it. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like things like that. So just being able to have those things.
Yeah.
So one of the things Amanda wanted to point out and look at were ways in which you can love yourself well through self-care, based kind of on your own love languages.
Right. Yeah, because we're not marriage or, you know, couple counselors. We don't have it all figured out. And one thing we've always wanted to make sure this podcast was about is loving yourself.
Yeah.
And you can't love others until you can love yourself.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was important to show that if you're not in a relationship, if you, don't feel like this is applying to you, all of these things, once you know your own love language, you are able to do some things that would apply to yourself through self-care.
Yeah.
So for like gift giving, you know, treat yourself. Go get your favorite coffee, you know, go pick up that one thing that you won't get because you decided the money was better placed elsewhere.
Yeah, like, budget it out, figure out like a time for yourself for those things that, you know, really were worth it. And, you know, those can make a big difference in just like your day, your week, your month. With things like that. So acts of service, organizing your workspace or living space.
Something that you see a lot, just where you spend a lot of time, give it a little organized. Like, it sounds weird, but it really is a gift to yourself. If acts of service is yours, sitting down at your desk and having that and like looking around and being like, wow, I really made this cute. I really made this fun. I really made this enjoyable.
The thing that's really great for ADHD people is creating a to-do list.
Absolutely.
And this will be a self-accomplishment as well, because those acts of service, you're checking off a list for yourself. You know, you're accomplishing something over and over. That's a gift in itself. You know? That's a mental health thing that's really helpful. And being able to set yourself up for success for that day, for that week. Is really a gift.
Or even like cooking yourself a meal. So I know we cook for ourselves all the time, but what's something out of the ordinary? Something that takes more than 3 ingredients. Something that, you know, you're not doing for anybody else. It's something for you. Like, make it special, make it fun. I feel like that one would be a really good one.
So then what about words of affirmation?
So that one, right in the name, make a list of positive affirmations. Look at them, read them, do it on the daily. It's really, really helpful. And then another thing is spend some time journaling. The only difference for this one for me is when I journal, I tend to journal about things that have upset me, things that have made me sad, things that I just need to vent it out. In positive affirmation, to journal about something you did well. Journal about something you're proud of yourself for. Journal about a positive experience you're looking forward to in the future. That one is important to focus on the more positive things, even though I know journaling is like a beautiful, just write it out and vent it.
It has a place for each. Well, and this is a great time to have gratitude. So write down things you're thankful for, write things that bring you joy, things that are positive, that are going to be encouraging to you, and then maybe some goals or things for the future, like, you know, in 3 years, I want to, you know, do this or have this job or whatever, to have some goals to look forward to. And then you can look back and look at steps and things that you took forward to go that way. And those positive affirmations are going to help you make those big steps, because then you're going to say like, well, yeah, of course I'm crushing it. So then I'm doing better at my job. You know, I'm going to get that raise or that promotion or things like that, that are going to be the snowball effect of this positive affirmation and this acts of gratitude that are going going to help you move forward in your life.
Yeah.
So then what about quality time?
Okay, sounds silly, but give yourself that solo date. You know what I mean? People in couples and relationships, everybody always talks about how important it is to spend time with each other and go out on a date. Spend time with yourself. Is there a movie that came out that you wanted to see? Go see it. Do you have a favorite restaurant that you've been dying to try? Or just go to? Or, go to a park and just sit and relax and just really enjoy soaking up time alone and doing something that you love to do.
Yeah, just being able to have that separation sometimes for yourself and get out there is just so important because sometimes we can get lost in relationships, and I feel like some people that becomes their entire identity and things like that. So just having that time, whether it's a hobby or something that you're learning of yourself, which I think is so important, or like you said, going on out for a movie or a dinner date with yourself, and it's just a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Lastly, physical touch.
Physical touch.
Yeah. They can be like going to get a massage, bubble bath.
Bubble baths. The one that I threw in here, and he actually just texted like 2 nights ago and was like, hey, when you get home, I washed all the sheets. I love that. There's something so good about like getting in bed with freshly washed, soft, great sheets. So, wash the sheets up, throw on a robe, snuggle into bed or, watch your favorite TV show and just get,
Go experience nature, put your feet out in the grass or the sand,
the water,
go for a swim, like those types of things. We said massage, but like maybe a chiropractor if you really need
facials.
Yeah, things that you can experience. That very physical aspect of things, that can ground you and fill you up.
Yeah.
So these have been both ways that you can experience the 5 love languages, giving them and then also receiving them, and then ways a little bit of self-care. Yeah. So Matt, any other thoughts or things on love language here?
I would just say, if you're really unsure, if you're listening to all these things and you're like, these all sound fantastic, try taking the quiz and see where you land. I will probably be taking the quiz just to see if I land differently now than I used to, because I feel like that would be fun.
And that's why we said it's not like the law for one that is like over that. Some people can be a split of things, and just finding like what's a good balance for you. Because I think none of us are like, man, I hate giving gifts, or I hate what I mean? Like, it's not that any of these things we don't like. It's a preference of like, if I have a choice, most of the quizzes are like either 2 or 3 choices, and they're like, would you rather have your spouse give you a hug or tell you, that you look great today? And you're like, well, both of those things are great. It's just like, on any given day, which one would you prefer? And so it's kind of one of those things. So
I think the best thing to remember too is the common ground in all of these things is intention.
Yeah.
Like to purposefully be doing these things, like to thoughtfully be doing these things.
It's not
because
just,
you are knowing that it's something that they would enjoy, not because it's just something that,
Right. It's not just like you're giving a gift on Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and an anniversary, and you're like, nailed it. Love language.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's thinking of like all those things, and what that looks like for your daily life. So communication is so key. Like communicating how you feel loved, how you give that love, and then hearing from the relationships in your life on how they give and receive love. Oh, it's going to make it so much easier, because then you're not playing guesswork. You're not just like giving gifts or going for the acts of service, and then they receive it and you're like, oh, thanks, I appreciate that. And you're like, I did all these things. Why are you not happy with me?
When really all they needed was a hug.
Yeah, sometimes I've seen that a big time, like acts of service. Like someone does all these grandiose things, acts of service, and then their spouse is like, thank you, I really appreciate that. And they're like, that's it? And like, because theirs is act of service. And then there's that miscommunication, like, I really appreciate it, but that's not my love language. That doesn't quite the same way. So just communication is key. Talking. I think that's any given relationship is the number one breakdown. So figuring out ways to better do that. But, we sure do love you guys.
We do.
And we're thankful.
You.
Thank you for listening and being here. Thanks for suggesting things like this and talking about it. If you have any other suggestions, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, hopefully you guys loved our love anniversary episode. I'm so glad we get to spend a little bit of this day with you.
Yeah.
Because, you're like family to us now. We've brought you in close. So.
Yeah. But know that you're loved.
You matter.
You matter, and you have so much value. We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you all in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
It's so close.
I'll move it one step.
Maybe go back just a little bit. That's all up in our business. Still, I feel like you should still come a little closer. It's your anniversary. You'll be loving me.
There you go. Again?
A little closer. Just kidding. I think
You
it's good.